Very good evening to all of you. It's really a very pleasant interaction coming back to talk about Mumbai, if not physically being in Mumbai. This is a very important year for Western Railway Headquarters, BB&CI, as our host mentioned. It's 125 years of Churchgate Headquarters. And when I was posted there in the Western Railway, it was 150 years of trains arriving at Grand Route, arrival of BB&CI to Bombay. So, looking forward to the good old times. Let me start with a very good evening. A very cold wintry evening is here in Lucknow. I'm sure Bombay must be warm, and we are going to get a very warm reception to this talk. I will welcome as many questions as possible. Please put them in the chat box, and I would like to try to organize my talk in a way that I should be able to answer, interact on as many questions as possible. Next, please. Now you can see the station, Colaba Terminus, the station which no longer exists, and the station which had a very short life, 1896-1930, only 34 years, but made a very important impression on the history of railways. We are going to discuss the Gothic architecture, the various special features, location. But to me, the history, especially that related with heritage, is not only about what and when. It's more about why and how. So today, as far as Colaba Terminus is concerned, I will try to discuss three specific questions. Why railway came to Colaba at all in 1873? And if it came in 1873, why another passenger terminus was required, which got opened in April 1896? And when this beautiful, majestic Gothic station was opened in 1896, why within 34 years of its opening, it has to close down? And not only Colaba terminus was closed, the line between Churchgate and Colaba was closed, and the railway shut down its operation beyond Churchgate. Why it happened? Along with these three whys, another interesting theme is the heading which you can see here. Colaba Terminus, Colaba and Cotton. So it is the cotton which is stitched together Colaba Terminus with Colaba. Actually, cotton played a very important role in the history of Mumbai, especially the second half of 19th century. Amar Farooqi calls Bombay as an opium city. Maybe true for the first half of 19th century. But in the second half of 19th century, the Bombay was guided by cotton. And not only cotton, railways and ports. 1853 arrived railway, 1854 first textile mills, 1875 David Sassoon. So our discussion today is not only going to be about railway, is not only going to be about a particular station. It's going to be about how the history unfolded in the second half of 19th century and how the Mumbai bloomed in second half of 19th century and early 20th century. Because I feel the seeds of whatever India did followed in the 20th century, they were all sown in the 19th century Mumbai. You call it cinema, 1897, Watson Hotel. You call it cricket, again started in Mumbai. And they all dominated many things which dominated 20th century. They were all started in 19th century in Mumbai. Begin from the beginning. You can see on the right hand, 7 islands, a very popular picture. We all know about it. And that was the beginning of 18th century. And on the other hand, left side, my left side is a map of Bombay, beginning of 20th century. So beginning of 19th century, beginning of 20th century. How all islands coalesced together and created this beautiful city. We are all aware about it. We all love a city. We all adore that city. But beginning of this collision, beginning of this linking of islands, beginning of Bombay as we know it today started from where? Colaba. And that's why I feel it's the Colaba which has seeds of many things along with the Colaba terminus and cotton. Because next slide, please. You can see here Colaba in 1773. You can see the fort on the upper side of the picture, and there is a sea in between. But then the Colaba got linked. Colaba Causeway came in 1838. Now in this picture taken in 1826, you can see how Colaba Causeway is getting constructed. So the building of Mumbai started from here, the Colaba Causeway. It started linking Colaba with the Little Colaba or Old Women's Island, and then the different islands, they all got merged, they all got linked together, and this important city got born. But along with this Colaba Causeway, now you can see the cotton here. Colaba Causeway 1838 was very important, but it led to an almost equally important thing, shifting of cotton green to Colaba in 1844. The picture you are looking at here is 1869 picture of Bombay cotton green. Cotton green originally was located in what was known as Bombay Green area, which later on become Elphinstone Circle and Hermanson Circle now, just behind the Flora Fountain. But when cotton green came to Colaba, that was the time when cotton was blooming. 1842, that the cotton policy came and the Governor General inspired Indians, made a policy that we must produce better cotton, we must produce cheaper cotton. Now, as far as the location, we will be talking about the cotton greens location in the next slide. So, very close to Grand Building. Grand Building is still there. So, but it's a full Colaba was full of cotton. I'll be showing you maps later on. But going back to the cotton policy, there was a lot of pressure, a lot of desire that more and more cotton should be sent to Britain. Britain was getting most of the cotton from America, and British government wanted to supplant it, replace it by Indian cotton. But for that, cotton has to come to the port. And the entire trading, all the activities related with cotton was being done at the cotton green. Next slide, please. Now you can see cotton in 1856, around 3 million sterling. You can see, you can calculate by the today's price. That was the custom house said, that was the cotton trade was done. And at the Bombay Gazetteer mentions, the center of this cotton trade lies close to Grant Building on Colaba. Now you can, you all, those who are in the Bombay are a frequent visitor to Bombay or Colaba, we should be able to locate. But the things have changed. What Gazetteer mentions that there was a large open space in the rear of the Grand Building, and where the piles of bales were loaded, bullock carts used to go, and the exchanges used to take place. Cotton presses were there. So full of Colaba was linked with the cotton related activities. But along with the cotton and Colaba, there was another linkage. The linkage of railway and cotton. The problem was everybody wanted that cotton should reach to Britain. But for that, cotton must reach Bombay. And how the cotton will reach Bombay? Because cotton was not being grown in Bombay. It was happening where? It was happening in Gujarat. It was happening in down south. Cotton was being produced in central India. So the only way of transporting cotton was either pack animals or bullock carts. They were slow, they were costly, and carrying capacity was very low. A pack animal could carry around 2.5 months. The bullock cart with 2 bullocks will carry around 20 months. Bullock cart with 4 Cotton Green is the place where they will keep it in. Cotton Green is the place that the currently Cotton Green is at Severi. It's the place where the cotton exchange takes place. So that was earlier happening in the Bombay Green area, which got name changed twice. The activity shifted to Colaba, and right now it's located at Severi. There is a Cotton Green station also. So railway was was required to move the cotton, because if we have to move the cotton at a slower, at a lesser price, at a faster rate, it was essential that railway should come to India. And when we look into it, that how railway came into India, especially into the western sector, cotton played a very, very important role. Next slide, please. I'm sharing with you a very interesting report of Julian Danvers. After the Britishers took over, the Crown took over in 1858, the direct administration from East India Company, a post of Secretary of State, a cabinet minister rank post was created in the British government, and he was responsible for ruling India. And all those things were reported to him. So Julian Danvers was reporting, made a number of reports, administrative report every year to Secretary of State about railway affairs. Now, kindly read the slide. The basic lamentation is that around 75% of cotton which Britain consumes is coming from America. And India is supplying only 18%. But out of 146 million, which is being sent out from India, 135 million is being sent from Bombay. Madras is only 9.5, Bengal is only 1.5. What Julian Danvers was basically emphasizing in 1859, that he was hoping, and they were all pressing for that, that with more and more penetration of railways, GIPR, now Central Railway, and BB&CI, now Western Railway, they were looking forward that when the railway will touch the entire area of Gujarat, when the railway will reach down south, when the railway will reach area right up to Nagpur, it will be easy to get the cotton to Bombay, more than £1 cheaper. And maybe it will be possible to compete with the cotton which is coming from America. So when you are looking into Colaba, when you are looking into railways, the common denominator is basically cotton. Next, please. Now, here is the serialized history. The demand for railway started sometime in 1840s, but there was a lot of agitation in the mind of East India Company, in the mind of British government, whether the railway will pay or not. Now, there is a Chapman report. Mr. Chapman came to India in 1844, Bombay. He studied a lot of things and submitted a report. He contended that railway is highly essential for Bombay and basically for carrying of cotton. Because by that time, industrial revolution was at its full peak. The factories of Lancashire, Manchestershire, they required a huge amount of cotton. And the cotton, most of it, as you have seen, coming from America. So he said, if there is a penetration of railways into the cotton growing fields of Gujarat, in the cotton growing fields of Maharashtra, Bombay Presidency, it will be easier to bring cotton to the ports. And his report carried a lot of weight. A chance had it, there was a famine in America, what is known as cotton famine. And the mills of Manchester and Lancashire, they were starving for the cotton. They made a lot of halla gulla. They were bemoaning why railway is not in India, why India, an important colony which produces cotton, is not able to send cotton to England. The combined pressure of Chapman's report and cotton famine was, then in 1849, House of Commons passed two acts and sanctioned construction of railways through formulation of two companies. One was GIPR, Great Indian Peninsula Railway, which becomes Central Railway, for connecting Bombay with Thane. Second was EIR, linking Calcutta, Howrah to Hubli. And by 1850, 1851, the construction in Bombay has already started. April 1853, railway has started running in India. So it was the cotton famine and Chapman's report which created a thrust for railways to come to India, especially in the Bombay area. And in 1854, the first textile mill also came. Now you can see a constant relationship between railway and cotton here. Now, a chance had it in 1865, the Civil War happened. When the Civil War happened, most of the cotton was being produced in Southern America, and then they imposed the blockade. Means no cotton could go to Britain. So for 4 years, most of the cotton had to come from India. 1873, because cotton green was located in Colaba, most of the cotton trading was taking place in Colaba. It was logical that railway should come to Colaba. So railway came there. And the first year itself, 1874, after the railway arrived into Colaba, about 50,000 tons cottons of various varieties, they were brought by BB&CI. Around 14,000 tons of cotton full pressed, almost 30,000 half pressed, and some 261 tons of cotton unpressed, and 5,022 tons of cotton seeds. So it was cotton which was linking railways, which were forcing, which was seducing, goading railways to come to Colaba. Because the one reason why railways came to Bombay, came to India, was cotton. It was the Civil War. A very interesting book on Bombay is Govind Narayan's Mumbai. It's an urban biography from 1863. And he very picturesquely describes what happened in the first 2 years of American Civil War. He said, people removed cotton from their pillow and quilts and sold it because cotton had become so, price was so awesome. And almost 10 times the price of cotton went up because no cotton was coming from America and they had to rely totally on a supply from India. And most of supply was going from Bombay. So the growth of Bombay, when you are looking at Rajabai Tower in Mumbai, what you are actually looking at is basically cotton, and linked it with the American Civil War. Bombay earned 70 million pounds sterling in the trade during that period. Started blooming. 31 banks, reclamation companies, cotton pressing companies. The last 2 years of American Civil War, sheer mania started in Bombay. And even in the 20th century, at least the first part of 20th century, the cinema, textile industries, cinema was fueled by the future trading, by the magnates of textile industry. They supported films in a big way. So therefore, even before, but the day a message came that American Civil War had stopped, it caused almost a collapse of economy in Bombay because the cotton prices, which skyrocketed, came down. But it was not the end of cotton growth. Slowly again, cotton loading, cotton traffic, it all picked up. Next, please. So, coming back to railways, we are talking about Colaba Terminus. We are talking about how railways arrived at Colaba, and the railway which came to Colaba was BB&CI. Our host mentioned about it, Bombay, Baroda, and Central India Railways. Now, please look at this picture very carefully, the logo. I think a good number of you must have visited, must have seen during your heritage walks, Churchgate headquarters of Western Railway. It is completing 125 years. It was opened in December 1899. Now on the front of it, just hiding behind the steam engine, are two medallions. And one of them is of J.P. Kennedy, who was the founder of BB&CI. Now, J.P. Kennedy had a very interesting theory. He said that railway must follow a terrain where there are not much gradient, so that your haulage cost is not much. So unlike GIPR, which went into ghats, traversed heights, cut tunnels, the BB&CI followed a route which was parallel to sea. Even now, you move from Baroda, Bombay to Baroda, you can see you are just kissing along the sea. But the problem is, if you are following that route, there will not be much gradient. But a lot of rivers will be rushing, roaring, trying to merge with the sea. Means you will require a lot of bridges. So there is a bridge near Surat, there is a bridge at Bharuch and Narmada, there is a Basin bridge, large number of long bridges and then small culverts. Now here you can see in this how BB&CI has selected that how a railway is moving over a bridge, and you can see a palki, some people moving on a very traditional means. Next, please. So BB&CI basically started from Surat, went up to Baroda, 1861, it went to Baroda. But as the first letter of BB&CI was Bombay, there was a desire to reach Bombay. And Bombay, they wanted, coming to Bombay means coming to Colaba, because cotton green was located there. And as I mentioned earlier, the Chapman report, the cotton famine, there was a pressure to bring cotton from the fields of Gujarat to Bombay. The cotton that time from Bharuch and Gujarat was coming via sea, means it was open to elements, could be damaged by rains. The time taken was too long. So therefore, the railway had to come to Colaba. But the problem was there was no land. A reclamation was required. So land reclamation, because of a civil war, a lot of reclamation companies were working. Reclamation had started. But the government, when granted permission, put a condition. The land required for the location of line across the esplanade, it was stipulated that there will be line, but whenever government wants it, the railway will have to close down the line and go back between Marine Line Station and Colaba Terminus. They will be given a place, and there the railway will have to shut down. Now you can see the closure of Colaba, the seats of closure of Colaba were lying right now in 1861 when the permission was granted. And I'm quoting para 31 of administrative report. Next, please. So construction started from Amroli. Baroda Surat section opened up 1861. And when railway came to Bombay, it stopped at Grant Road. Now it's a very interesting question. Why Grant Road? Why not further? Why not Churchgate? The answer is very simple. There were two issues. One, there was no land beyond Grant Road. The land had to be reclaimed from the sea for making the line where it is now. Number two, Grant Road at that time was an important place, located very close to Byculla. We all know the importance of Byculla Club, and there was a race course, and the native town was blooming at Byculla. So the railways came to the Grant Road. It became a terminus in 1864, but at the same time, there was a desire to reach Colaba. So Even after 1865, when because of closer completion of stoppage of American Civil War, collapse of many reclamation companies, it was decided that whatever little reclamation is going to take place will be done. Part of it will come to railways. Now I'm going to show you a very interesting piece of history. Kindly. Next slide, please. Yeah, it's a timetable. It's a timetable as old as February 1867. And you can see in this timetable, the trains are started from Bombay Grant Road. And there are very few stations. After Grant Road, your train will stop at Mahim. Bandra had a different spelling at that time. Borivali, of course, was called, there was another station called Pahadi, which no longer exists. And then Dahisar, Basin Road. Those were the stations. And this timetable, you can look at the fare, you can look at the number of trains. There were passenger trains, there were mixed trains, like by the same train, both passenger and goods stock could be carried. So February 1867, I'm sharing you the timetable. But after that, railway started moving ahead. Next slide, please. Yeah. A very important piece of history and which dominates the railways in Bombay are the Mumbai locals. They started from Back Bay, 1867, April 1867. Now there is no station like Back Bay today. That station was located very close to marine lines because for the purpose of reclamation, the line from Grant Road was extended, which was normally used for carrying a lot of material from Kandivali, some stone quarry, the stone was coming and the sea was being filled up. From that line, a station was made and the locals started. But slowly and slowly, you can see in 1868, every year, one more station was added, Churni Road, Marine Lines, and Churchgate. But after Churchgate, because Colaba was to be a terminal, it required a lot of space. You have to have some small shed, you have to have turntable where engines will be turned. So some space was taken over from the gun carriage depot. So it took some time. But before the trains formally came down to Colaba, there were some temporary lines operating between 1870 1871. Yeah, please, next. Now we are going to spend 1 or 2 minutes here. Now you can see how railways and cotton have impacted the Colaba. Please look at this map very slowly, very patiently. Look at the different places, different areas covered into that. This is a map of early 20th century, the first few years. Now, the one thing which I would like you to mark are the presses. You can see there is a Colaba Press Company. Please kindly show the Colaba. Yes, now you can see there is a Colaba Press. And close by is a Ford Press. Yes, so now we'll go one by one. So what are these presses? Colaba Press and Ford Press. Again, I will refer to Govind Narayan's Mumbai. What he is talking about, that there were 40 presses in Fort area, 50 presses in the Colaba area. The presses were because the unpressed cotton will carry a lot of space. So in a ship, unpressed cotton suppose carries 6,000 bales, 3,000 bales. When the cotton is pressed, it becomes rock hard. Please, the previous slide, please. It can be carried around 6,000. Double bales can be carried in a ship. So these cotton presses were there. But steam presses ultimately came. So what we are looking here, the Colaba Press Company, was actually a steam press company, which was very important for cotton. Now kindly you can look further up and there is a tramway depot. If you can see, you can go up to the Woodhouse Road where the electricity depot right now, the lines are going right up to the electricity depot. The entire, you can see the cotton godowns on the both side of Colaba Causeway, which is now Shahid Bhagat Singh Road. And the lines are cutting across Colaba Causeway. They are coming to Gun Carriage Basin, they are coming to Victoria Basin, and they are coming right into Sassoon-Dak. So that was the penetration of railways. And what we see, the Badwar Park, where all the lines are merging, where the Woodhouse Road is forking into Cuff Parade. You can just mark it on the map. You can see that was the place very close to that was the Badwar, where the Badwar Park has come now. So the entire Colaba area, only thing is Colaba market, the good old, the current Colaba market is still the old Colaba market was there, but right up to Arthur Basin, cotton godowns were there, railway lines were there, cotton presses were there. So Colaba was till the end of 19th century, right from 1844, was actually a cotton district, supported by Sassoon-Dak, Victoria Basin, Gun Carriage Basin, and served by the railways. Next slide, please. So this is another picture showing how the cotton was being traded in the Colaba. Next slide, please. Now, the cotton which was coming to Colaba, a good amount of it was getting exported. And it has created a lot of, it increased the acreage also. Like the cotton acreage in 1870, 1850, it was used to be 3 million hectares. But by 1870, it grew to 5 million hectares in the undivided India. 1900, it became 6 million hectares because there was a supply chain, trains which were taking this produce out, putting to the port, and cotton prices were also going up. And when the demand from Britain became lower because America started supplying again, we picked up on Japan, we picked up on China and rest of Europe. So the export of cotton never dimmed. But apart from export, lot of cotton was being used in Bombay itself. By 1875, there were 75 textile mills. Now they will also require cotton. And the cotton will come all the way by this railway line to Colaba. And as I have shown you in the map just now, they go right up to the dock. They went into Victoria Basin, they went to David Sassoon-Dak. The importance of David Sassoon-Dak was it came in 1875 and was the first wet dock of Bombay. So 1844, cotton green came to Colaba. 1873, railways came to Colaba. 1875, David Sassoon-Dak started operating. So this combination of dock, railways, and cotton green made totally Colaba full of cotton-related activities. Next slide. Yeah. What we see, the Badwar Park, what we see the Badwar Park today was basically the goods yard. And in this picture, I have shown how busy, how active that yard was there. Because a lot of wagons will go to different docks, the cotton will be unloaded, the empty wagons will come, they will have to be marshaled, they will have to be shunted. So this entire area of Colaba was full of railway activity. So it was not a lone station where a passenger train goes and comes out. The activity would have been as big as maybe in any major goods yard or a coaching yard like in Kurla or Bandra Terminus today. the Colaba yard was as busy as that. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is a beautiful picture, and please savor it for a few seconds. It's an early 20th century, and you can see many important milestones of history of Bombay here. The picture has been taken from the sea. We were talking about the Colaba, and now you can see a train coming from Colaba, a steam train chugging along, going to Churchgate station. Churchgate station, the old Churchgate station was like a Swiss chalet. Behind that Churchgate station, you can look at the BB&CI headquarters, which came up in December 1899. And on the right-hand side of the picture, you can look at the Rajabai Tower. So this panoramic picture gives you how the trains were coming from Colaba, and the Churchgate Street. There was a gate, level crossing gate, and through which public can come right up to the sea. The station was right on the sea, Churchgate. The line coming from Colaba was right on the sea, next to the sea. So you can see the sea, and you can look at these beautiful buildings. Now, the purpose of showing that slide was Colaba station was evolving into a passenger terminal also. Because although the freight activities were there, but there were people who were going to work in the presses, working into the cotton godowns, and it became a good residential locality also. So long distance trains also started, and I think most of you will be knowing two very important things in the history of Mumbai Railway started from Colaba. One is the electrification. BB&CI electrification started from Colaba, and the frontier mail, a glorious history of frontier mail, which started in 1928 from Colaba. And suburban trains, they started in April 1867 from Back Bay, but their number started increasing because city was going up. City, by the end of 19th century, has moved much beyond Bandra, but most of the trains were going up to Bandra. So by 1892, 27 trains were moving from Colaba to Bandra, each way. I will show you a control chart showing you this, please. Next slide. Now, so in the railways, we normally plot trains by making a chart. So this is an evening chart, 5 p.m. and 8 p.m., what we now call it an evening peak. And you can see so many local trains are going. And good number of them are going right up to Bandra. A few of them are going up to Borivali, and some of them are going up to Virar. So the density of passenger trains starting from Colaba started increasing. So there was a heavy freight movement, cotton going to docks, cotton going to cotton godowns, cotton presses, and the passenger trains. Next slide, please. So a need was felt that there should be a separate passenger terminal. Because the question is often asked whether Colaba terminal came in 1873. No. In 1873, it was more of freight terminal plus some makeshift small passenger platform. But right now, the problem in the Colaba yard was there was no place to keep the engines. So light engines have to go to Parel because Parel was the place where steam engine ships were there. Many mainline passenger rakes have to be shifted to Grant Road because the terminus was at Grant Road. So terminus means there will be places for the maintenance of coach, places for maintenance, keeping the empty rake. There was no facility for that in Colaba. And it was thought that maybe at marine lines, a terminal can be developed. But there was not sufficient land. So ultimately, it was decided that a new coaching terminal should be created at Colaba. But it was not possible because the goods traffic was very high and more land was required. So the government was requested and more land was sanctioned, and then came the Colaba terminal. Next slide, please. Yeah. So here comes this beautiful Gothic structure, the Colaba Terminus. Now, this Colaba Terminus, where was it located? How big it was? How many trains were coming from there? That is something which is very interesting. They already had a huge Gothic Victoria Terminus designed by nobody less than the Stevens. But this Gothic station, Colaba Terminus, was designed and built by resident engineer of BB&CI. You can see all the pointed arches, tower. There was a tower in the southwest direction, which you can see in this picture of the good old picture of Colaba Terminus, and the big porch. This beautiful station building came on the 7th April 1896. Next slide, please. This was a very comfortable station. As I said, a block of land was required. So between Woodhouse Road and Lower Colaba Road, land was granted and a station came up. The first time they used gas burner lighting to keep the station well lit. Now comes the question, where was it located? There are a lot of disputes, a lot of discussions. Some people feel where the main Badwar Park colony is located, there was a Colaba Terminus. Actually, even now, if you go to Badwar Park colony, main colony, you can see there is a tree, and on the tree there's a plaque mentioning it was a part of Colaba station. Must have been, but the main passenger terminus, which came in 1896, was slightly far away. And the description which has been mentioned in the Western Railway magazine 1961, based on 1923 magazine, is very clear. It says, go further down from Imperial Mansion on Woodhouse Road. And the Colaba station was a spot now occupied by Naval Transport Depot. But I feel the station was quite big. So therefore, where the P block and R block are there, where P block and R block are there, they were also the part of Colaba Terminus. Kindly show the next slide and we can discuss the location. Yeah. Now you can see the Colaba station. We have circled it with the red circle. Now just have to stand where there is a fork. Very clearly, Cuff Parade is mentioned. Just kissing the sea, next to sea. And the fork, one line is the Woodhouse Road. So you have to move further down the Woodhouse Road. And where the Colaba Causeway meets the Woodhouse Road, there is a connection. That was the place where Naval Depot is right now located. Next to Naval Depot are two towers of railway colony, R block and P block. And that's the place where Colaba station was located. The frontage of Colaba station was towards Woodhouse Road, and back of it was towards the Colaba Causeway, and it occupied quite a big space, as it can be seen very clearly in this picture. And behind it were the railway sidings which were going into David Sassoon Dock, Victoria Bandar, Gun Carriage Depot, and all that, and serving the various godowns. Next, please. So there were a number of trains which were coming from Colaba. Very interesting part of this timetable is how Bombay has been identified. Bombay has been identified only up to Grant Road. Even Mahalakshmi has been taken outside Bombay. Colaba, Churchgate, Marine Lines, Churni Road, Grant Road. And probably the Churchgate Street. The Churchgate was probably called Churchgate Street because you have ST suffix after Churchgate, and no other place ST has been mentioned. So probably because Churchgate was located at Churchgate Street, it was called Churchgate Street. And you can see the different classes: upper class, second class, third class, male others, fares, all those details are there. Next slide, please. But another thing was happening. It was the turn of century, 20th century was just has started knocking the doors. 19th century was closing down, and the port was also coming on the other side, where the Bombay Port Trust is located now. Now you can see the Princess Dock. When the Prince of Wales came to Bombay in 1875, he laid the foundation stone for Princess Dock. So by 1890, 1900, the Bombay Port Trust has developed and railway made connection. So now there was a proper port, a much bigger port with many docks coming and railways serving them. The importance of Colaba was bound to decline. Now we can see in the 1896, when the Colaba passenger terminus opened up, many things happened in the next 10 years, which started reducing the importance of Colaba and started reducing the importance of Colaba terminus. Next slide, please. The same year when the Colaba terminus got opened up, plague happened. It was a devastating tragedy. We can compare with the corona we have all seen the last few years. Another development are Bombay Port Trust, as I had shown, developed railway connectivity. Then there were changes. So these 3-4 factors, and so the important impact of plague was after 2 years, that is in 1898, it was decided that plague came to Bombay because Bombay is very congested. So therefore, a Bombay Improvement Trust was created so that more and more residential areas are developed. And the Bombay Improvement Trust started developing Cuff Parade, and more reclamation was done, more land was taken, and housing issues were resolved. Next slide, please. So, as I said, port has developed, and the connectivity from Bandra, you can see, there was a connectivity came up across Mahim to ports. So railway took a call by the early 20th century that no goods train will now move beyond Bandra. They developed a yard in Bandra, and the entire cotton traffic got moved to ports, Bombay Port Trust, and there was a connectivity. Because the pressure of suburban trains moving from Colaba towards Bandra was so heavy that all the freight activity beyond Bandra was curtailed. So therefore, Colaba, the freight traffic vanished. And port has developed, Bombay Port Trust has developed. So the whole rationale of Colaba terminus was cotton green. Cotton green also, it was decided that cotton green should be shifted, and cotton green should come close to Bombay Port Trust, where it is located at present. So shifting of cotton green, developing a much bigger port, linkage of that bigger port with Bandra, and demand for land led to BIT buildings, a situation where Colaba station started counting its days. Next slide, please. So link, as I mentioned, link up BB&CI to Bombay Port, suburban trains, decongesting Bombay, and the most important was development of Cuff Parade. The Cuff Parade, the beginning of Cuff Parade, the initial, the first part of Cuff Parade was created in 1905 by reclaiming the sea. And a beautiful parade. Parade means an elevated place was made, and Edwardian houses were created, and they become very popular. Those are Bombay Improvement Trust. Next. Now you can see the Cuff Parade, the Edwardian houses, and where the Woodhouse Road and Cuff Parade merges Imperial Mansion, and how a parade, an elevated structure was created next to the road. After the success of Cuff Parade, and plots of Woodhouse roads were sold out. So if you walk on the Woodhouse Road, you can see most of the buildings have been created in 1904, 1905. Next, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Then there was a plan for a greater reclamation of Colaba, which never happened. But it created a demand, it created a pressure that railway should vacate the land. Now here you can look at the Colaba station. You can see the, kindly mark the Colaba station with the cursor. You can see, if you, yeah, you see, you move along the Woodhouse Bridge, move further up, and you can see the Colaba station. Yeah, please kindly keep your cursor there. Now you can look at the Colaba station there. So you can be very clear where the Colaba station was. You can see the Woodhouse Road. You can see road going and meeting with the Colaba Causeway or Shahid Bhagat Singh Road in the present time. So that was exactly where the Colaba station was. But the type of reclamation wanted to create a lot of crowded places. But fortunately or unfortunately or whatever, in front of Cuff Parade, we still have sea. That was such an ambitious plan that if you look at the left-hand plan, you can see even the government house, the governor's house, which is right now in the Malabar Hill, was planned in the Colaba, but didn't come up. Next slide, please. Now, this is a beautiful picture postcard. And this picture postcard, you can see the caption. It mentions Colaba railway stations and reclamation. Now you can see the beautiful parade, Cuff Parade, and on the Woodhouse Road, you can see the tower of Colaba railway terminus. This picture postcard very clearly shows both Cuff Parade and Colaba railway terminus station. Next slide, please. And with these developments came the beginning of the end of Colaba terminus. Because there was a pressure for land, and basically the cotton activity started shifting from Colaba to Bombay Port Trust. There was a pressure from Port Trust, there was a pressure from Merchant Chamber of Commerce, and number of bodies. They wanted that railway should withdraw. And they can have a single terminus at Victoria Terminus. Line should be shifted from Parel to Victoria Terminus along the GIP route from Parel. And Grant Road onwards, the land should be made free for construction. Or the railway can stop at Marine Lines, or it can come to Churchgate or Colaba. So Governor and Council sought the opinion of various bodies. Next slide, please. Now I'm just giving you the exact picture of the report, 1914, very important Bombay Development Report. You can, in this report, you can trace number of roads which got developed. So this committee met on 10th and 14th November 1913. They commenced the formal sittings. They asked the opinion of BB&CI, GIPR, various public bodies, trade bodies, and after that, they came up with the following conclusion. Next. Next slide, please. Next slide. Please, sorry, go back to the previous slide. Now, Governor and Council, he discovered that actually passenger sale from Colaba has gone down because cotton traffic was diminishing. So originating traffic from Colaba was only 5,000, around 5,000, but maximum was from Churchgate. There was a huge clamor that BB&CI traffic should be merged with a VT, but he refused because there was enough traffic for BB&CI and GIPR separately. It was not possible to put them under the one terminus. And he also refused to stop the line at Grant Route. So again, you can look at the next slide, the ticket sale pictures. Please, next slide. Yeah, kindly look at it very closely. Those who are in Bombay will be knowing the importance of MST, monthly season tickets. So this is the picture of monthly season tickets, season ticket holders in December second half of 1912. Now you can see, if we do a comparative study, a good number of MST holders were starting their journey from Grant Route. And amongst all the station, the sale of MST was minimum from Colaba. The reason was Cotton Green and David Sassoon Dark. Both were closed in 1910. We are talking about now 1912. So the entire purpose which generates traffic had vanished. So therefore, there was a demand to close down the railway line, release the land, and come up with the houses. Next slide, please. So therefore, committee ultimately came to a conclusion. They never wanted line to be closed, but they wanted land also. So therefore, they gave railway an option. The option was that railway must, from Woodhouse Bridge up to Grant Road, the line should go underground. Or if it is not possible, line should be closed at Churchgate. Because if the railway goes underground from Woodhouse Bridge to Grant Road, the land after Grant Road gets vacated for other construction activities, and along with the reclaimed land that can come up with, can be used for many other purposes. And even in 1861, the railway was granted land only on the condition that whenever government wants, they will have to go marine lines or even beyond it. So second option was line should be closed at Churchgate if railway cannot make an underground railway. Railway decided to close the line at Churchgate. Because the number of passengers, there was no freight traffic for Colaba, and number of passengers had come down. So therefore, maybe it was not treated profitable. But then they required a new terminal, because Colaba was a major terminus. You require a place where steam engines can be parked, a place where rakes can be opened up, can be kept. So a new land was sanctioned between Grant Road terminus and Mahalakshmi. And that's how the Bombay Central was planned. Next slide, please. So you can see here on the left-hand side, a Bombay Central getting constructed, and then a picture of Bombay Central. So Bombay Central ultimately replaced Colaba Terminus. In 1930, next slide, please. I'm sharing with you an invitation card. It was the opening ceremony of Bombay Central by Governor of Bombay on 18 December 1930 at 4:30 p.m. So a new chapter started in the history of railways, in the history of Bombay, and Bombay Central Station got opened. And once Bombay Central started, the same year, next slide please, Colaba Terminus was closed on 31st December 1930. The line closed at Churchgate. Churchgate became the terminus for suburban, and Bombay Central become the terminus for mainline trains. But on this reclaimed land, along with the land which railway now ceded, came Marine Drive, Art Deco picture halls, Eros and Regal. So that's how the land was utilized. But a chapter was closed. Next. And now Colaba has changed the shape. So suppose after this discussion, you try to visualize Colaba in the second half 19th century, as I have shown you number of maps today. It would have been full of cotton godowns, cotton presses, railway lines going across Colaba Causeway, number of docks, bullock carts bringing the cotton, carrying out the cotton from godowns to various factories. But by the closing of 19th century and early 20th century, cotton godowns slowly started getting closed, railway lines started shrinking, and they start getting replaced by good swanky houses where the pasta lanes are there, the pasta lane 1, 2, 3, 4. Those were the areas from where railway lines were going, cutting across Colaba Causeway and going into various docks. And now, by 1930, by the time when the Colaba station got closed, started blooming into a posh residential locality. So 19th century, a cotton hub, a trading area, and by 20th century, middle of 20th century, it became a posh residential locality. So another interesting thing is 1914, there was an option to create an underground railway from Colaba to Grand Road. 100 years later, now we are having a metro from Colaba further towards Bombay Central, again underground. So history repeats itself in a very, very interesting way. Next slide, please. So with that, I would like to thank you for a very patient hearing, and now we can have some time for your questions.
Thank you so much, Srivastava ji, for this lovely talk. I'm sure many of us who are Mumbaikas and who have been to Colaba to either do a shopping at the causeway or to just roam around would have not known about this piece of history. So I'm sure this talk is going to be a gem for all, especially for those who also stay in and around Colaba. Coming to the questions that have come into the chat box, I'm just going to pull them out for you. Read them out to you. So Farooq has a question. Is the exact location of the Colaba cotton green known? Where would it have been in today's context?
Yeah, I mentioned the Grand Building. It's close to Arthur Bandar.
Okay.
So, and if you just Google, you can see a lot of pictures of Grand Building. But then there was a huge open space at that time. And now looking for an open space in Colaba is a very, very difficult. I've been there 6 years. I live in Badwar Park. So I know how the Colaba is.
Right. Jyoti has a question saying, what is the meaning of cotton green?
Okay. That's an interesting question. Cotton green basically started, I think, must have taken its name from Bombay Green. Bombay Green is the area where the Harmanson Circle is right now located.
Yeah.
It was close to St. Thomas Cathedral and practically an open area between St. Thomas Cathedral and the Asiatic, this town hall, the Asiatic Library. There was not much. And where the cotton sellers will come with their bales of cotton and kept it open. And certainly you are from the heritage group, you'll be knowing there was a theater also. The first theater of Bombay was located there, 1740. That was the time when the Starbucks is located right now. So next to that was the theater. So any number of old pictures are available, paintings are available showing the cotton trading there. And from Bombay Green, it must have picked up the cotton green. But the cotton green name continued when it moved to Colaba in 1844. And when it moved to Severi, there's the cotton green station also. Next to cotton green station at Severi, It's a place worth visiting. There is a shade in which cotton trading was done. I went there. And because Japan, most of the cotton was moving to Japan by early 20th century, there is the
Mm-hmm.
writing Shinto also.
Okay.
It is mentioned in the 5 languages, and one of them is Shinto,
Lovely.
the current cotton green.
Okay. Okay. Farokh has another question. Is it true that there was a branch line that went towards Sassoon Dock?
Yeah, I've shown in the plan. It went into all the docks, Victoria
Okay.
Basin, Shashun Dock.
Okay. And Pavitra has asked how Channi Road name came up.
Yeah, I think somebody had already answered it.
That's right.
Yeah,
For grazing. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Was
Actually,
Grand Road?
there are many ways of looking into it. But I will
Mm-hmm.
suggest there is a 1914 book is available on the net and online free, which gives you the meaning of name of various streets of Bombay.
Okay.
So there are 2, 3 versions of it, but the
Mhm.
most popular version is the grazing.
Okay. Okay. Ashish Kuvilekar has asked, was Grand Road Terminus located at the place where a goods siding exists today, near platform number 4?
The entire Grant Road station is same. The terminus means you require number of lines because engine will have to detach, will to be taken. And there is a parcel siding. There used to be a parcel siding at Grant
Mhm.
Road. It was also a part of that system.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Priya has a question. Did the cotton activity extend beyond the station to the southernmost tip?
Yeah, right up to Arthur Basin. Arthur Bandar Basin,
Mm-hmm.
I have shown in the plan that activity was there up to Arthur Bandar Basin. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
Grant building was located very close to that area.
Okay. Okay. Sabira has passed a comment. She has something to share. Her mom tells her that the mosque near Metro Cinema was on the seashore, and the areas near Bombay Hospital and Liberty was a forest. She heard wolves and foxes. Her mother
Yeah,
is 85 now.
absolutely right. When I was talking about this Grant Road uh,
Mm-hmm.
station, it was
Mm-hmm.
close to Bacula Club.
Okay.
Bacula, not many people will remember where the Bacula Club was located. Bacula Club created a Bacula souffle, a very interesting dish. So Bacula Club was located very close to where the railway hospital is there and YMCA building is located. So there is a history. It got closed around the First World War, and it mentions many times howling of wolves.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Yuval Shah has a question. Are there any remains still left of Colaba terminal?
I think there is not even a plaque right now which mentions that there was a Colaba terminus station here.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
So what to say of remains? At least I wish somebody should have plaque that here was a Colaba
Yeah.
terminus.
Yeah. That would have been much more.
And as I mentioned you earlier, should be included as a part of heritage walk.
Right. Yes. Adil has a question. Why didn't the British set up their own cotton mills and factories in Bombay or any other places in India instead of sending the cotton to Britain, as it would be cheaper here than in Britain?
Yeah. So there were reasons. First of all, uh,
Mm-hmm.
the you have to look into the entire industrial revolution which started in the late 18th century and the early 19th century. Manchester, Lancashire, those factories were already there.
Uh-huh.
And in India, you require the equipments will have to produce in England and brought here because
Okay.
there were no machine making factories. But still, in 1854 itself, actually the first textile factory started in 1817,
Mm-hmm.
but got failed. And the successful textile plant came in 1854. And by 1870s, you had, as I had mentioned in my talk, 75 textile mills were there in Bombay.
Okay.
So textile mills came up very fast. Bombay, Ahmedabad, South India, they came up very fast.
Okay.
And India was sending not only the cotton, but semi-processed, like it was sending yarn, twisted yarns, things like that.
Mm-mm-mm. Okay. Farokh has a question. An author of a book on Kolaba states that a part of the railings of the old station stand near Badwar Park. Is this correct?
But at least I have not seen that because it's very difficult to know the age of old railings.
Okay.
That the station got closed in 1930. So maybe possible somebody must have used it. But I can tell you that there is a tree on which
Mm-hmm.
there is a plaque, that the tree was a part of Colaba station.
Okay.
Right in the lawn, the bigger lawn of Badwar Park, there is an old tree, and on that there is a plaque.
Okay. Okay. Pradosh has a question. So, decision was taken to close Colaba in 1914, but it took 16 years to build the replacement Mumbai Central station. Why is that so?
It was in 1914 a decision was taken, an option was given to railways to
Mm-hmm.
either build an underground railway or to close it at Churchgate. It
Mm-hmm.
took railway 2-3 years to take a final decision. By early 1920s, they took a call.
Okay.
But then they required a land for Bombay Central. And you
Mm-hmm.
know how land acquisition is difficult.
Yeah.
The brain process, now they say land acquisition is complete. So things must have been much faster there. They completed the
Mm-hmm.
land acquisition for Bombay Central
Yeah.
and then started constructing Bombay Central because Colaba could not have been closed unless the Bombay Central came up.
Okay.
So the construction of Bombay Central took 3-4 years.
Mm.
And after, as I showed you the notation card, on 18 December 1930, Bombay Central
Yeah.
became operational, and then they closed this
Okay.
Colaba terminus and line beyond Churchgate.
Okay. There's another question by him. Says Mahim is mentioned as a station way back in 1867.
Yeah.
However, Dadar is missing and only makes an appearance in the early 1900s. How did Dadar become more prominent than Mahim?
It all depends. In the other, what happened in the as a part of Bombay Improvement Trust, a lot of colonies came in the other area.
Okay.
So you can see the Hindu colony, Parsi colony, lot of colonies. Lot of
Mm-hmm.
construction work took place, and Dadar become a very important hub.
Mm-hmm.
That was we say that Bombay is divided by Western Railway and Central Railway, and they meet only
Yeah.
once at Dadar. So Dadar become a very important junction point also from the railways point of view. So
Understood.
around Dadar become more important the early part of 20th century.
Okay. Okay. Raj Upadhyay
And
has
secondly, one more thing,
a yeah.
the, if there is a station, doesn't mean that the place is important. Railway will have to create a station after 8-10 kilometers so that
Uh-huh.
the train can go.
Got it.
So sometime just because the place you have to have a station somewhere, you will get a station.
Okay. Okay. Raj has another question. Uh, he has a question about the Bollard Pier railway station. The Frontier Mail used to depart from Bollard Pier was what was the route taken by the train to reach Borivali and beyond?
3 days, the two parts will move. One part will start from Colaba, and the other part will move from Ballard Pier. And the Ballard Pier will follow the
Hmm.
uh, this central rail line. And
Mm-hmm.
as I've seen that there was a connectivity, a porter's line right up to Bandra.
Okay.
So the both trains will meet at Bandra. They will be joined together and then move ahead.
Got it.
What
Okay.
was the Ballard Pier was that people coming from steamships, they will get down
Hmm.
and board the train.
Okay. Okay. Adil has a question. Was Mahim station built earlier only there for the water tanks?
That I don't think, but as I said, the stations were required for the length of block section also.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and Mahim was not a watering station because the train will start run road and the watering will work at least for 5-6 hours. So the next watering station would have been Balsar.
Okay. Okay. And another question by him. Why was the sixth milestone shifted to Badwar Park?
Pardon? Why?
Why was the sixth milestone shifted to Badwar Park?
Milestone.
Yeah, the milestones, the milestones that are there in and around all the islands of Bombay. Why
Mhm.
was the sixth one shifted to Badwar Park?
That I will not because it's not linked with the railway part of history.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
have not seen also that milestone. Maybe you can tell better that maybe you have shown it on some of the heritage walks.
We should find that answer and be able
Uh,
to
uh,
that. There's another question. Was there any connectivity in the early 20th century between VT and Colaba line by train?
No, even now there is no connectivity between VT and Churchgate. So they
Okay.
were all separate lines, and they had to meet at Dadar, or there was line connecting going right up to Bandra.
Okay. And coming to the last question for the session, by Priya, was there any connection between Colaba Terminus and the Stirrans and Ketteridge trams of 1873? Because from what you were saying, the station was quite close to what is Ketteridge Road today.
Station, as I told you, is very close to the part of gun carriage depot was used in that station building, and it was on the farthest end of where the Woodhouse Road and Colaba Causeway meets.
Okay.
That's clearly shown in the map.
Okay. Okay. So I think further there are no questions. With this, we come to an end to today's session. Thank you so much again, Srivastava
Thanks.
ji, for accepting our invitation and for this talk. The others have also thanked you for this informative session.